Thank you for this privilege tonight that I'm able to share my testimony with everybody here. Most people kind of know me, but they don't know what I've been involved in my past life. So when I was growing up, as a little boy, I lived at my mum's house. I see my father now and again, but didn't see him that much. When I was growing up in the house, I seen a lot of bad things that my mum was doing. She was smoking drugs, getting involved with people that was really destructive of her life. Few occasions I caught my dad smoking with my mum, taking drugs from a young age. I was 13 years old. A lot of people can relate to that because, there might be some people in the room tonight who can relate to this kind of story where they've seen, someone just completely terrorized by drugs. And I seen that when I was 13 years old. I was like, why is what my bum doing, like smoking the pipe? I just thought, I didn't understand with my dad, but I didn't have much of a relationship with him at that age. But I didn't really see him much, but I had to continue with my life. I struggled at school. I went to various schools. I struggled with, learning difficulties. I struggled to read, to write. I was at the bottom of my classes in my school. I had to deal with that depression in my life because I was struggling. I just needed help, but the teachers couldn't understand me as a child. They would try to help me so much, but it just wouldn't work. I'll become violent in school, and that was my first school. In my middle school, I went to my middle school, and in the middle school there was a lot like mixed people, Asian and Christian people. But I didn't join the Muslims. I joined the Christians just to see what it was all about, but I didn't make much of it at that time. So in that school, I had a lot of fights. I had fights with a lot of Asian lads, and there was one time after school, because I ran into this guy and I broke his arm, you see, and there was one time they was all waiting for me, 30 Asian lads coming to beat me up, but I escaped from that. So yeah, I've done a lot of bad things. I've fighted in school. I've been quite violent with my mother at home because I was quite angry. The reason why I was so angry on the inside, because a lot of people, might have gone through the similar, feelings and emotions as me, but I didn't fully understand what was the reason why I couldn't know my dad. I had to deal with my mum like smoking drugs and stuff like that. That really impacted me. So I had a lot of anger issues. So I used to go out. I used to break into buildings. I used to burn buildings down. I didn't get caught for that one because the police never found me in Bradford. And so I used to get in trouble with the police. I was arrested for various things, driving without a license, going to these buildings and robbing out of them. My mum sent me to the Army Cadets, which she thought that's going to do good for me to be disciplined. So I went to the Army Cadets. At that time, I just joined college. I tried to train to be a chef to cook food, but I'm not a good cook anyway, but I tried to do it anyway. So yeah, so I was trained to be a chef. I remember like in college, I started to hang around with wrong sort of people who were smoking. I thought, let me go try this to see what it's like. I didn't really like it too much, but I just wanted to hang out with the kind of like big boys. That's how I thought, these big gangsters who were smoking, big spliffs and that. So I thought I'd just chill with them. And at the time, I was living at my mum's house, but I was in a lot of stress because a lot of things were happening at home. My mum was bringing people into the house, and it was really difficult at the time. But anyway, I continued my college work, and I joined like a crew, basically like a gang, and we used to fight each other, like in a house like this. We all just beat each other up for the fun of it, for a laugh, basically. That's what boys do. They just, we didn't have nothing else. They smoke a joint, beat each other up, listen to hard rap, and hardcore and stuff like that. So, but I didn't want to really fight, but I just joined them in a way, peer pressure. So I joined them. Maybe people experience that in their life, in peer pressure to do something, led into drugs and stuff like that. And so people can relate tonight. And what happened was my older brother, he was involved in gangs as well, hang around with the wrong sort of people. And so what happened was I moved out of home at 17 years old because I caused my mum too much stress to the point where she got an injunction out of me. She paid for that for 2 months because I was too violent at home, because I was just so violent I just couldn't cope with myself. My behaviour was just, chaotic. So when she got that injunction out of me, I had to leave because, I couldn't go back there. So I left home at 17. And then I got a few flats. The second flat I left to go into a friend's house, but I only stayed there for 6 months. At that time, I met one of my cousins, he was a drug dealer in Bradford, and he was selling drugs to people who were taking heroin and crack cocaine at that time. And we joined together, and he got me to help him out to sell drugs. But we were selling drugs to prostitutes in Bradford. Addicts. So we would go to the house where these prostitutes would come, and we would sell drugs to them. A lot of drug dealers was coming to that house as well. It was kind of notorious in Bradford. And what happened was, me and him went to this house and literally give drugs to this girl, and she was smoking this brown, and I just looked into her eyes and I could see the hurt and the pain. I didn't say nothing to her. I just could see that hurt and the pain of her just, doing drugs. I don't know what she's going through. I could just see that, and I was like to myself, I can't do this anymore. It affected me, seeing that hurt and pain in her. So I had a big fight with my cousin. He jumped me from behind, but I smacked him in his head because I said to him, I can't do this now. I want to leave this kind of business what I was helping with. So we had a fight and we fell out, and I didn't see him after that. And this time I was going out clubbing, and there was a club called Power & Cove on Manningham, and a couple of nights I went to this club, and literally it was so proper full with so many different people, like Caribbean people. That night, I went there, and there was a guy sat next to me. He had a knife with him, and what was happening, it was quite violent at that time because there was people having fights and there was a lot of carry-ons, but someone got murdered in that club and they got shut down. So a lot of violence was going on in that club, and unfortunately got shut down. Someone lost their life. So that's kind of things I've seen. I've seen a lot of bad things, not just for my own life, but for other people's life. So when I left this lady's house, I moved into my grandparents'. But the thing was, there was my step granddad, who is married to my grandma, sexually abused us. And maybe there's some people here tonight who's been sexually abused themselves, and you can relate to this story. He sexually abused us, me and my brother. And I had to go into that house because I didn't have nowhere else to go. But I moved into there. And my step granddad wanted to love me like his son. But that didn't work because when I moved in, he decided to buy drugs for me and take me out in the car, and I would go with him, and he was trying to groom me basically, and I didn't really like it, but he was trying to love me and groom me, which I didn't like it. So I had a lot of arguments. There was one time I was in I think it's somewhere in the Halifax, Queensbury. I was driving the car and I got so angry, and literally I wanted to drive off the top of the hill. And I attempted to do it, and I said, I'm gonna rag this handbrake up. I'm gonna turn around in the car at 60 miles an hour, and that's it. We're gonna die. I don't care. But something happened to stop me, and I just got out of the car and I started walking. So I was absolutely lost it. Do you know what I mean? But I lived in there for 2 years, and it was like living in hell under that roof. I got arrested in that house. 5 police officers arrested me because we had a big argument, and I pulled out like this kind of like a sharp knife. So I wanted to hurt him so much. I wanted to obviously do damage to him. So my grandma phoned the police, and I got arrested that night. I was still able to go back, but it was just like living in hell. It was so chaotic living in that house with him, and I wanted to change my life around, but that didn't work because what I was doing at the time, I was I was under a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety and depression. So I started to self-harm myself, cutting my arms up. And I had this name called madness because I thought I was absolutely crazy, and I went crazy and I cut my arm, saying mad in it. And I was praying to the devil with 3 candles, praying to the devil. I didn't care about anything else. I just wanted to, pray to the devil and slash my arms. So I was kind of went to the dark side, and it demoralized me. And I had nightmares after that night, and it was not nice living in that house. But what happened is, one of my friends said to me, "Would you like to come to like a gospel concert?" And I said, "Oh, maybe, okay, I'll come give it a try." So I went to the concert. At that time, I fell out with a girl, and I was quite heartbroken. And I went into this church, and I sat back of the pews, and I was just crying. I thought to myself, I've had enough of my life. I just want to just give up. So it took me a little bit of time, and I went into the concert room. I sat at the back with my friends, 5 friends of mine, and sat there. And all I could hear is it was people rapping and singing about Jesus and how Jesus has changed their life around completely. I was sat there. I was like, wow, I am a complete sinner. I am absolutely a complete sinner. I've done wrong in my life. I've sinned against myself, sinned against other people. I've been angry. I just needed help. So at the end of that night, they got a preacher who came to share a message. And that night, I was crying so much that this guy said, "Whoever would like to accept Jesus Christ tonight, put your hand up." So I put my hand up, and I I came to the altar. And they led me into a prayer. They said, "Do you believe in Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? Do you believe that He died for you?" I said, "Yeah." "Do you believe that God raised Him from the grave?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, that means you're going to become a Christian now. You're going to become born again. We'd like you to join the church." So I joined the church, and I was going every Sunday. I was enjoying it so much. My friends left me anyway because I just wanted to, be faithful to this church. In that time, I didn't have no job, nowhere to live. I had to move out of my grandma's house. So God blessed me with a place to live and a job when I was in that church. He just moved miraculously. So I got a job and got a place to live. But I remember this pastor, after 6 months, he wanted me to do what he was doing basically in the church. He wanted me to lead church, pray for the service, preach, and do altars. But there was a lot of pressure on my shoulders because I didn't know how to do that, and I'd never been shown, and I was struggling because I was so immature as a young lad. A lot of young lads are out there, so immature, just don't care about the responsibility, they just want to do what they want to do basically. But I was quite really immature. I thought, yeah, but I was struggling because I had a weakness as well, and this weakness was like, I thought to myself, how can I just like lead this church? I still not fully think that I've come clean off these drugs. How can I lead this church, lead these people? That's a big responsibility. I'm still struggling. I said to myself, I can't even speak properly. I can't even preach properly. So I was, I wasn't saying nice things to myself. So I left that church, and what happened is I became mentally ill. I met a girl and became mentally ill. I was living in Bradford, and we moved to Blackpool, and that's when my health just went downhill. Literally, I had voices in my head saying to me, "Go and kill yourself," or "Go kill your partner," every day, terrorizing me in my mind. And we argued every single day without fail, and I would get so angry to the point where I'll be threatening her. I'll say, because she used to like talk to me in a way that I didn't like, basically. So I used to threaten her, like, "I'm going to do X, Y, Z if you don't shut your mouth." Like. So I threatened her, but was with each other for about 7 years. In that time, I was not nice to this woman, and she stayed with me anyway. But yeah, I went through a lot with her. I was drinking, I was smoking with her. I was unwell, I was on medication. There was an incident that happened. I went to the doctors. They wouldn't prescribe me, heavy medication. So I kicked off, and the police came, locked me up. They sent me to like a mental institution. Basically, I was there for a week. They released me anyway. So after when I was living in Blackpool, after a few years, I said, I'm missing home. I really need to go back home. So we decided to move back to Bradford. We moved back. As soon as we moved back, I started to take other drugs like cocaine, started snorting cocaine. I was smoking more cannabis, but it's so easy to get in Bradford, not Blackpool, smoking more cannabis. And I had my friends over, having sessions, that's what you call it, having sessions, like smoking cannabis and taking lines every single night. And me and her was like, she was okay, but I was going head to head with this girl, and I was so much in anger every time she would, we would have arguments, and to the point where one night I lost my temper, and literally I got her by the throat and I put her down to the floor, and I scared myself because I was choking her, and I scared myself, so I had to let go. And as soon as I let go, she ran, jumped out the top window. That night, she broke her leg. She had to go to hospital and broke her leg. And that's how violent I was at that time. And story goes on that she came back anyway, but we're still with each other, still smoking drugs. But my friend who was in the house at the time said to me, oh, she's with this other guy, because what I used to do is send her out for drugs. I said to her, if you don't get me drugs, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. I used to demand drugs that she'll go out, because I was too paranoid to do it anyway. So I demanded her to go out, and she met this guy who was selling crack cocaine and cannabis at the time. And I didn't believe my mates that she was, with him. So what happened is, they came around and said to me, oh, she's in the house right now with these, smackheads and crackheads. I said, okay then, I'm going to grab this knife out the drawer. I grabbed the knife and I went round there, but my mate stopped me because I wanted to go in the house with this knife and to go, do some business. But that didn't happen, my mate stopped me. And so, a few weeks on, she didn't come home after 3-4 days. I'm like, where is this girl gone? She's like disappeared. And I went out on the streets, shouting and bawling off the top of my voice. I did not find her. I checked all the areas. I did not find her. So I came back home. And then when I was hanging around with my mates in the house, I could have sensed, I said to my mates, I need Jesus. I need Jesus. I don't know. I just had to say that to them. I just said, I need Jesus. They couldn't understand what I was saying. I just said that I need Jesus. And I said to them, okay, this is what's going to happen. You lot right now, I'm not even going to come to my house no more. I don't want you around my house. If you come to my house, I'm gonna do X, Y, Z. I'm gonna beat you up. So they were all scared of me. So they chipped, didn't come back. And I got my phone because I had 18 dealers' numbers in my phone for cannabis and cocaine, basically. I thought, I'm gonna delete all these numbers, and I'm gonna barricade myself in my house, a room. I locked all the doors, barricaded myself in my room. And that night, I grabbed my belt, similar to this one I've got now. It's not the same, similar to one. So I grabbed the belt and I said to myself, I'm going to kill myself tonight. I don't care, I've had enough. I typed on Facebook, I want to kill myself. I want to end it all tonight, basically. So I got this belt, wrapped it around my neck, and as I was choking, this presence of God stepped in my room. And I fell onto my hands and knees and I was crying. I said, Lord, I'm a complete mess. I'm full of anger. I can't change myself. I've beaten up my girlfriend. I've been wicked and evil to my parents, to my family. I've not been able to change myself. I'm a complete wreck. I need your help. I need your help. It's like I can't help myself no more. That's it. I'm just, there's no strength left in me to change my life around. So I put my dependency on God that night. I said, Lord, please help me and forgive me of my sin. I know that I am a sinner. And I had a personal time with the Lord. And he said that I'm going to use you powerfully. Don't worry. And that night I stashed the Bible in my loft, but I had to go get it because I just sensed the Spirit of God telling me to get his Bible out. And there was a number, I was a pastor there. And I called that pastor. He prayed for me over the phone. I said to him, can I come to your church? He goes, well, I'm no longer in Leeds. I moved to London. I said, what? Are you kidding me? So I said, okay, I'm going to make my way down to that church anyway. So I went to that church. Then I became born again in that church. And I was there for 10 years. And God did a mighty miracle in my life of deliverance from drugs. I came off cannabis after 2 months, but it was the cocaine I struggled to come off. It took me 6 months to come off cocaine, but God did a mighty miracle. I was just faithful to church, faithful to prayer, and God really sees your faithfulness no matter what you're going through in life right now. God sees your faithfulness. When you've got a heart that is so desperate, God moves for you when you have that heart of desperation. And that's why I had a heart of desperation and I had a heart of determination, and I thought, God, that's it. I don't care about the world anymore. I need your help. I don't want to live in this torment anymore. So God set me free and delivered me. And my task was to go on the streets every Saturday for 5 years on the streets of Bradford to share my testimony and to preach. I said to God, I can't even speak properly because the drugs affect you, see, affects your speaking. He goes, don't worry, I'll give you the words. Even if you only can say Jesus loves you, that's what really matters. So I went on the streets. You know, God really helped me with everything on the streets every Saturday, faithful. So God can do a mighty miracle of healing in your life and deliverance. No matter what you're going through today, God has healed my life and, you know, done a mighty miracle in my life from facing, you know, drugs, alcohol, depression, anxiety, you know, suicidal thoughts, you know, torment thoughts in my mind. I don't have that anymore. Glory to be God. And people have to know that they can be set free once they, you know, trust in Jesus. But there's a greater testimony, and that's not my own. It's Jesus Christ's testimony that he was, he had to go to that cross for us. You know, he's God's only son who had to go to that cross to sacrifice himself for mankind. That is a big weight, you know, a big weight to take on, to sacrifice your own life to save humankind. And he suffered. The Bible says he was pierced and bruised. He was whipped 39 times just for you and I. That is the greatest testimony ever that overrides, you know, everything in the world, I believe. That is the greatest testimony that Jesus Christ took it on himself to be pierced and to be bruised to the cross and to death, to die for us. And the amazing miracle happened is that God raised him from the grave, and he is alive, and he has a miracle working power to set anybody free who was a sinner onto life, from death onto life. So in the Bible, it talks about, you know, there's so many miracles. God departed the Red Sea, manna fell from heaven, Jesus Christ turned water into wine, healed the sick, cleansed the lepers, healed the blind, healed the deaf, raised the dead to life. So if God can do that miracle, the miracles today, he sure can do it now, even in COVID-19. COVID-19 cannot stop Jesus Christ. We are his children. This year, we want to see revival come for us and for people to be saved in the streets. We want to see revival. We want to see hearts touched. We want people to be delivered by Jesus Christ. We want to believe in the supernatural, for God to do the impossible this year like never before. And I really believe that. I really truly believe that there's so many souls, just like myself, my testimony, I've been delivered, you know, and I know what I was involved in. And if God can do it for me, and God can do it for you, and you guys know what God's done for you, and I really do believe we serve a God of miracles. And this, I really would like to say that everyone has the right to have a miracle in their life and to see Jesus really work in their life. So with that, I would like to ask everybody here, if anyone here tonight would like to receive miracles of blessing, miracles of financial blessing, miracles of healing in their life. Is anyone here tonight who wants to receive that, who wants to receive the Lord just bless them so much, who wants to see their ministry flourish so much. There's any people here tonight who God is willing to help and set free. Maybe you need a job tonight. Maybe you need a car. Maybe you need to finance for a house. Maybe you need a wife or a husband. Is anyone here tonight who can relate? Is anyone here tonight who knows that they need Jesus, needs a touch of Jesus, who knows that Jesus wants to be their guide and their help? Is anyone here tonight who really wants to seek the Lord with all their heart and say, Lord, would you do a mighty miracle for me in my house, in my family? No matter what you're going through today, God can do a mighty miracle. He's done it before and he can do it again. And he's always going to do it for his people. And whoever believes in him, he can always do it no matter what. God, he wants to perform a miracle. If you're willing to receive that miracle, we can all pray tonight and we can believe that God's going to pull through for us for this 2021. Amen.